See, friends, it's not a bad thing to get an education. It's a good thing, isn't it? It's a good thing to get educated. It's all right to further ourselves. It's good to steward our bodies because we are a temple of the Holy Spirit. But that cannot be where our security lies, because image can be robbed from us in an instant. Image can be robbed from us in an instant. In fact, I've got to an interesting age in my life. I'm at the age now where everything... It's a picture of me. The previous picture was of Tom. This is me. I'm at the age now where everything either spreads out, gives out, or falls out. It's just, I'm not the same as I was when I was 20. Things are changing. And trusting in the image of something or someone can be dangerous, for that will just disappoint us at some point. We are not all going to remain perfect. The Bible tells us that in Psalm 20, verse 7, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we trust in the name of the Lord our God. You see, he doesn't change. And whether we try and put our identities or certainly our image in ourselves, we'll discover that eventually comes up short. Now, some of us are still at the age where we think we're invincible. Like me. I still think I'm pretty invincible. But certainly when you're in your teens, you think the world's your oyster, nothing's going to destroy you. Some of us got to the age where we're just glad to have got to that age. Aren't we? We've learned, but we still have that optimism that Christ has placed within us. But a person built on the name of God will have a positive self-image. Not because of what they've done themselves or they can achieve themselves, but because of the Spirit of Christ who indwells them. You see, what we have is Christ's image in us. So that should essentially make us a positive people with a positive outlook. Not positive thinking. You can go to W.H. Smith's and other newsagents are available, and you can buy books on, self-help this and self-help that and all this, but it's devoid of the gospel. What they've done is taken what they see as positivity and they've stripped Christ out of it. Yet, without Christ, we cannot be positive. Barbie was saying to me this week as she went down, they did one operation and pulled her around a bit and didn't really work by the looks of it, but they fiddled around with her a bit. And they asked her when she was down there, "Are you okay?" And she said, "I'm at perfect peace." And I said, "Well, don't understand that. You're in trauma. I'm just peaceful. Just do what you need to do." That only comes from a relationship with Christ. It doesn't come from self-image. It comes from having Christ's image within us. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18 says, "And we who with unveiled faces all reflect the Lord's glory and are being transformed into his likeness with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord who is the Spirit." It's okay to have confidence, but if our confidence is in ourselves and in our image, it will come up short. It may not have come up short yet, but at some point it will. Everybody has a capacity that they can bear. Some have a larger capacity than others in the natural. Some have a smaller capacity. But if we try and get through life just on what we can do, eventually we'll come up short. It's the truth of it. And some of us are saying, yes, we know that. We've lived through that. And some of us are saying, me, never. But it does happen. The second issue that these 4 young men are faced with is their identity issue. The identity issue. Who are you? They're assigned new names, but let's look a little bit at their Hebrew names. Daniel means God is my judge. In fact, Daniel is my middle name. You didn't know that, did you? When I was born, I was called all sorts of things. My father called me Knocker. Not sure why. Others called me Thumper. I thought probably like the bunny rabbit in Watership Down. Not Watership, Bambi, sorry. Watership Down was the rabbit I ran over this week. You just needed to know that. He had a little friend watching on the side of the road going, no. But anyway. Bright eyes. Watership Down, you've read the book, you've seen the film. Now taste the pie. Anyway. So, what was I saying? So I was called Thumper. After the thing in Bambi. And one of the things my parents decided to do was to name me after a pop star, a personality of the day. And I'm now going to confess this to you all so the youth can tease me. For I was called Desmond. Now that's okay. Desmond in itself is a fine name. Do we have any Desmonds here? If you are here and you're a Desmond, the Lord bless you. I don't think we do. The Lord bless you. Desmond's okay, it's as a name. But when you're told as you're growing up, we named you after Des O'Connor, that, yes, I know. It scars a boy, that's all I can tell you. It was not a happy period in my childhood. And so when through various things in my life and through various divorces my mother had, eventually my brother, my mother, and I all had different surnames, which was really confusing. And so we put names. This is true. I'm not preaching. I'm telling you the truth. We put names, into. I'm tired. We put names into a hat, surnames in a hat. We each chose two. And we agreed that whatever surname came out, that would be the name that was chosen. And fortunately, I put in Jackson, and out came Jackson. You might think, well, why Jackson? Because I'd done work experience at school with a church minister called, wait for it, Michael Jackson. I know! He was such a thriller. Anyway, well, that was bad. I'll get on with it, don't I? So I was called all sorts of things, but when I came to change my name, I actually said to my mother, and she thought she'd be clever, I said, I want to change my middle name because I can't bear the fact that you've named me after this 1950s crooner. It's really driving me nuts, it scarred me and all the rest of it. And she said, well, you can change your name, but you need to keep your initials the same. There aren't many good. And I immediately went to Daniel, and I thought, I think that's what the Lord would have for me. So I chose Daniel because it says God is my judge. There is something powerful within names when we're given names, when we name our children. Some of you have had the privilege of naming children recently, and you do think a lot about that and pray a lot about that because you're going to call that name for the rest of your life, probably. So it's important to get it right, isn't it? We had 3 cats when I was growing up. It's not in my notes, this is for free. We had 3 cats when I was growing up. The first one was whiskey-coloured, the mother, and so we called her Whiskey. I didn't grow up in a Christian household. Please understand this. Some of you are deeply offended by this. But then she had kittens, so we kept 2, and one was brandy-coloured. And the other one we called Sherry, which is fine until you call them for dinner and stand on the back step, shouting, whiskey, brandy, sherry, and people looking at you from the next door thinking, oh, you poor thing, you obviously need a bit of help. So what you name things, even your pets, that can be quite an issue. And these 4 young men are called this, and Daniel's called this name, God is my judge. Every time he said his name, he's reminded of a relationship between him and Father. If we look a little bit, we discover that Hananiah means God has favored. So every time his name is called, he hears you're God's favorite. Mishael means who is God. So every time his name is called, it's invoking the name of God over his life. Azariah means God has helped. And those powerful names. And yet there they are in Babylonia under captivity and struggling. And these names are rooted in God's love for these young men. But the pagan world didn't want to acknowledge that. They wanted to strip them of all of that. So they start to look for areas of their personality. They look for areas of expertise to name them after that, to find something devoid of Christianity. And I don't know about you, but as I've been a Christian, some people over the years have said some very unkind things to me. Not everybody has been nice about the fact that I've been a Christian, am a Christian, serve God. And you might have discovered an antagonism within the workplace or the family or just growing up that's been difficult. In fact, at school, among my many nicknames, one I still quite liked. It was Devil Dodger, which was all right. I didn't mind that one too much, but there's this sense in which we can be called things and they try and vilify us. And so what happens is these young men, their names are changed. And what the pagans have done is they've looked for the area of their personality. So Daniel's new name is Belteshazzar, which means one who lays up treasures in secret. Lays up treasures in secret. Hananiah is called Shadrach. You all know that these were the first 3 builders in the Bible, yeah. Your shack, my shack, and a bungalow. They were also known as bed makers. Shake it, make it, and to bed you go. I'll stop there.